This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to an emergency edition breaking news. It is the MeowMix Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry.
And let's get right to it. Cam Newton, the Panthers franchise quarterback, has been put on injured reserve, and barring anything weird happening in the playoffs, we have likely, very, very likely, seen the last of Cam Newton for this season. And I'm bummed. I really am.
Yeah, I'm not that bummed. I know a lot of Panther fans are out there. I saw on Twitter that were on the edge. I'm not, because quite simply, I would prefer him to get 100% before coming back. I still wasn't sold on him rushing back on his shoulder injury, and then to rush back on this Liz Frank injury. He needs time to heal and hopefully get his body 100% back.
I agree with that. It's still a bummer because I had very high hopes going into this season. A lot of that was predicated on Cam maybe not coming back to that MVP level, because I don't know that he could reach that again, but maybe playing at that level that he was the first 7 or 8 games of last season, where he had a very high completion percentage, low turnovers, high touchdowns, and he was looking very, very good. The Panthers were playing great. That's what I was hoping for Cam for this season. Now I feel like we're just in a very uncharted territory, uncertain future for what the franchise is going to look like the next couple of years, and that's a bummer to me.
Well, the big bummer to me is the fact that this is 2 seasons that have been misaligned by Cam Newton injuries. I mean, last year and this year now. I mean, Granted, we're still in the playoff hunt. Kyle Allen is 5-1 as a starter, 6-1 if you go back to last year, which we try not to because that doesn't really count. But we're still in the playoff race. He's only lost 1 game. He's playing well, not great, but well.
I think saying Kyle Allen is 5-1 as a starter, even though it's true, the Panthers are 5-1 with Kyle Allen as a starter, I think is more accurate, because Kyle Allen has not been the reason that we are 5-1. And I think even Kyle Allen supporters such as yourself would agree with that. Christian McCaffrey and the defense are the reason that we're 5-1. Kyle Allen has not lost us games, but Kyle Allen is not winning us games.
He's doing what is asked. And that's the problem where you're saying, well, he's not the reason. Yeah, he is the reason.
He is not the reason. He is not the reason we're 5-1 over the last 6 games.
Yes, he is. He is the reason. He's not the main peg, but he is not turning the ball over. He is not. He's making the smart decision.
He's got 7 turnovers in 6 games. He is turning the ball over. He's got 7 turnovers in 6 games. I'm sorry, that's the fact. I'm not making that up.
So he had how many interceptions in the 49ers game?
3.
3?
He had another one last week against the Titans.
He did have one last week.
And he's fumbled lost 4 fumbles.
Okay. Well,
he actually has 8 turnovers.
I think it is not. He is part of what is going on with the Panthers.
He absolutely is.
And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's the main reason. Christian McCaffrey is the main reason. We all know that.
Okay, but you just said he is the reason that we are 5-1.
He is a reason, not
you said he is the reason, is what you said.
A reason.
That's fine, but a lot of people are saying that he is the reason.
No, he's not the only reason. Christian McCaffrey is an MVP candidate. Legitimate. If he was a quarterback playing the way he is, he would be the runaway candidate. But unfortunately, he plays running back, and it takes a monumental season for a running back to win that position or that award. I mean, it happens once every 10 to 15 years. A running back or non-QB wins it. So
Right, and I think that he's got an opportunity to do it this year. This is a bit of a weird season. I mean, um, you know, Mahomes has missed a few games. Aaron Rodgers doesn't look unbeatable. Tom Brady doesn't look unbeatable. Russell Wilson's having an incredible year, and he will probably be the MVP if that continues. But, Christian's got a shot. Either way, I think we need to get back on track about Cam. What do you think? I've seen a lot of people, some Carolina beat reporters, Charlotte Observer, Scott Fowler, David Newton from ESPN, saying that they believe Cam has played his last game as a Panther.
I don't believe that. That's quick. We still have 1 year on his contract. And do you really want to go into the well of trying to find another quarterback? I'm not saying, again, we've known on this podcast that I am still terrified of his injuries. Terrified that he'll never be Cam Newton again. But we have him for another year, next year, to ride him out. I know people will be like, oh, he won't sign with us again, or he'll hold out. Well, you also have the franchise tag the next year to slap on him. And then if he gets back to a great playing level, you could slap the franchise tag on him, work that contract out.
I agree. I don't understand why we would be so quick to cut him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's due $21 million next year, but guess what? That's not a lot of money for a franchise quarterback in this day and age. That's actually pretty good money pretty good team-wise. It's pretty cheap for a player who, of Cam's caliber, when healthy.
Correct.
And I don't see why you wouldn't want to see if he's healthy. I mean, he's only going to be 30 years old.
First of all, releasing him would be the dumbest mistake this franchise has ever done. Because if you do decide to get rid of him, which I don't think you should, is what you need to do is trade him, get something back for him. Because he's still a quarterback that is very much in demand in this league.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, you could cut him, and he's only $2 million against the cap and dead money." Well, that's ridiculous because you're not getting anything for him. You're just cutting him for what essentially is $19 million.
Yeah,
and of course you can use that money. You can give CMC an extension. You can sign Bradbury, but I hate to tell you, people, this is a quarterback-driven league, and I don't care how good your starting cornerback is. If you don't have at least above average starting quarterback, and the rest of your team has to be great if that's all you have, you're not going to do anything in this league.
No, I agree. And that whoever says release him isn't paying attention, doesn't understand what really goes into it, because he has value. We were getting calls for him at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't get it, and I've tweeted at those guys that were saying that and just asked them, what is the harm in letting him play next year just to see what you have? Because guess what? If he does come back and play well and he looks healthy and he doesn't get hurt, okay, then I think you can re-sign him. Because guess what? The guy is going to be good somewhere.
And here's a question. What will the new coach, if we don't make the playoff, Ron's gone. We can all agree on that, right?
I don't know. I think so, but if they come very close to making the playoffs with their backup undrafted quarterback, and that defense, leads the league in turnovers and sacks and whatever, I think he could be back.
See, I don't think so. I think it's still playoff or bust. I think
this changes things.
4th and 2 going for it in our own, 30-yard line, 40-yard line proved to me that his feet are to the fire. That if Tepper may want to bring in his his own group,
and that could be, but I think this changes things a little bit because you're not giving Ron his full complement of what he expected when he came in. He doesn't have. And I think he's done a pretty good job with Kyle Allen as his backup. They've definitely simplified the offense for him. They're not asking him to do nearly what they've asked Cam to do in the past.
Well, as
Which he has a
rightfully
different
so.
skill set. He has a different skill set, of course. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know if this is Ron's last year or not if they don't make the playoffs. I tend to think he'll be back just because.
And if he's back, Cam's back, in my opinion. I don't think there's a question that Ron tries to move on. If he's back, Cam is going to be back. Now, if Ron's gone, I think that's a bigger question about what the incoming coach, incoming GM, what they decide they want to do. And again, we're 5-3. We're 2 games above 500 in the playoff race. So this is all speculation. Let's not doom and gloom this. Like,
but
the Dolphins.
It's out there. It's out there. That Cam's gone after the season, and I actually agree with you. I think if Cam's gone, I think that means that Marty Herney is gone, and Ron Rivera is gone, and that whole coaching staff is gone, and we're essentially rebooting the franchise.
It'll be a new chapter in the Panthers' history. It'll be closing this chapter.
And that's what bums me out. Probably more than anything is that this has been a really good last 8 years. And of course, we've missed the playoffs a few times, but we've been to a Super Bowl. The team has been exciting. Cam has been the most exciting player in the league for several years. It's just been a fun time to be a Panthers fan. Even though we didn't win a Super Bowl, we got there. We've been relevant, right?
Yeah, and you're absolutely correct. And then you also, it's the worry of the unknown. You could become the perennial Cleveland Browns. You could become them constantly trying to find a quarterback, constantly 5-11, 7-9, 4.
Trying to find a head coach.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm terrified of going to that type of situation. At least with the steady coaching and Cam, it's been all right. If everybody's healthy and things start clicking, we can get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. We're looking at this roster saying, yeah, we have some holes, but I mean, if pieces fall in line, we could have a really good shot at this.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Rivera. I mean, you're always at least in the mix, right? Even his bad years are 7-9, 6-10 at worst, but you're always around the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you're not in the playoffs.
And his players haven't quit on him. I know last year it was a little bit of a misnomer, but we were in most of those games late in the season.
We really were. The ball bounces another way, and we're 10-6 that season. Yeah. Even as bad as Cam was.
Yeah. I mean, kind of look at how the Jets are falling apart right now, and you can kind of tell they just don't care.
Right.
We haven't seen that in a Panthers team since John Fox's last year.
Yeah. And we don't know what David Tepper is as an owner looking for a head coach, or how, manipulative he's going to be with a new head coach. I mean, with Ron and Marty in place, that's established. He's probably not going to mess too much with them, but you get an Adam Gase type, young coach in here, then Tepper, who's already, by the way, given up his stake in his company so he could focus on running the business of his NFL team. That to me says he wants to be involved.
I agree.
And
I just hope
usually doesn't work out well.
I hope it's not a Dan Snyder type of situation.
Right. I worry about that. But I don't know, man. This feels like an end of an era to me. If I hope Cam comes back next year. But
I don't think it is. I really think we're going to continue to do well, and I think I have a suspicion we may sneak into the wild card spot. I have that feeling. Things for Ron Rivera, when things get hot, he seems to pull something out. He always does, and I think this will be one of those years that he can do it.
Do you think that we should make a move to bring in another quarterback? Not for a starter, but right now we have 2 quarterbacks on the roster, none of which have a lot of experience. We should maybe bring in someone to back up Kyle.
No, not back up Kyle. You know what? Because if Kyle Allen goes down, I want to see what Will Grier has. We spent a 3rd-round pick on him. I mean, he's been buried on this depth chart. I know he didn't look good in preseason, but neither did Kyle Allen, and we're at least doing decent with him. Now, you can always go to the Taylor Heineke route, bring him back in. He's familiar with the situation.
I'm done with him. But you know the name that's going to be bandied about.
Who? Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah.
No.
That name is going to be out there.
I want to put a preface on this. Everybody's going to be like, oh, he was so great. He hasn't played in 3 years, guys. He's got so much rust on him. He's going to need a full camp. I have no problem bringing in Colin Kaepernick in the offseason where he goes through training camp. He learns the offense. But right now, you wanting him to sign to a team right now is a disservice to him because he's going to go out there. He's going to go out there and have to wing it because he's not going to be able to know the playbook quickly. He's not going to be able to run an offense at the peak of his abilities.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to bring it up because it's going to be brought up. I don't think Colin Kaepernick is the answer to this for this team. But people are going to say it because he's a athletic quarterback, sort of in the mold of Cam. And I think certainly next year, if Cam is gone, Eric Reed is going to push for it. And there's going to be a lot of noise around that. So just be prepared, everyone. Doesn't look like Cam's going to have surgery. I guess this is just going to be a wait and see deal for him.
And that worries me even more because I feel like he's going to wait and see. And at the end of the season, they're going to be like, oh, he needs surgery. By the way, the surgery is a 6-month surgery recoup, And then training camp comes around. Will he play? No.
Well, if no bones are broken, then he really doesn't need surgery. It is an injury that can heal on its own, so it doesn't sound like any bones are broken. I mean, he's walking around on it just fine, it seems like, with no boot for the last several weeks. So this could just be one of those things where it's an abundance of caution. You don't want to hurt Cam further, which I agree with. Maybe because Kyle has played well enough to, get us in this position, there's no urgency to bring Cam back, which is fine. I just don't want this to be the end of Cam. I don't want it to be the end of the Cam experience here in Carolina. And I have a feeling it might be.
See,
that's what bums me out.
See, I think even a new head coach is going to look at Cam and be like, yeah, I want to see what he's got left in the tank before they move on. That's how I feel.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Any other thoughts?
No, not really. I mean, I said my piece. I still think that we have a chance at a wild card. I know you're all depressed over there. I think we could still do it. I mean, we're going to ride Christian McCaffrey. Ride him. We've got to get that defense straightened on the run defense. But for the most part, this is a solid team, even with Kyle Allen at quarterback. I know you and a lot of other fans are disheartened and broken, but you keep bringing up how great Marty Hurney has done. Well, this is going to have to prove it for you because, quarterbacks go down. Look at the league. It feels like half the league is starting a quarterback they weren't planning on starting this year. Granted, Minshew's just got pushed to the bench, but
yeah, I mean, a lot of those quarterbacks are coming back, and I thought Cam was going to be the same way. I figured he'd come back, and we'd be in a decent spot. He'd knock the rust off in those first game or two, and then we'd be good to go. But I don't know. We will be back tomorrow to discuss in more detail the rest of the season schedule and kind of look at where we think this season is going to go. Definitely this changes my perception of what the rest of the season looks like. We've had a relatively easy first half of the schedule, and it gets hard from here.
Oh, yeah.
But we will be back tomorrow, and I don't know. I'm just sad. I just am.
It's okay. Go take your Prozac.
I know. I know.
Have a little shot of whiskey.
Yeah,
Hug your Cam poster.
We'll make it through this. We'll make it through. All right. Well, everyone will be back tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you for listening. We just had, with the breaking news of Cam getting put on IR, we felt like we had to put something out, at least discuss it a little bit.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. And if anything else comes out, we'll discuss it again tomorrow. But I think we probably won't hear about Cam for the rest of the season. So
yeah, I don't either.
This will probably be the last in-depth conversation we have about him. So anyway, until tomorrow, everyone, keep pounding.
Hey, Steven, do you think the Panthers are going to cover the spread this week?
You could ask me that any week, and I would say yes.
Well, if you're going to bet on a game, you should use MyBookie. It's the premier place to bet all your favorite pro and college football action every weekend. They always have the most up-to-date lines and most prop bets of any sportsbook on the planet.
You know, the best part is, if you join right now, MyBookie will double your first deposit. That's right. If you put $1,000 in, they will give you another $1,000.
Woo!
That's $2,000.
Yeah.
That's double your initial deposit, and you can use that on any of your favorite picks. Use promo code LATEFEES to activate the offer. That's promo code LATEFEES, LATEFEES, to double your cash.
Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid.